Good morning, students. Welcome to our assembly this morning. I'd like to remind you that this is an assembly of a serious matter, rather than a pep rally or such. It is my pleasure to recognize our special guest this morning, our Superintendent, Dr. Brian Cram, members of the Secondary Education Administrative Team, and members of our Board of School Trustees. I would now like to introduce Mr. Laurence T., representing STREETWISE Live.
All right, Clyde, hi, how you doing today? We're going to have to move this quickly because we don't have a whole lot of time. Today we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about drugs, we're going to talk about gangs, and we're going to talk about STREETWISE Alive. Now, before I get started, I want to tell you something. This is not a session where I want to try to tell you what to do with your life. What I want to do is just give you some facts. Some facts about drugs, some facts about gangs, and some facts about STREETWISE Alive. And then from that point, it's up to you to make up your mind what you want to do with your life. But I'd like to start out with a song that adds up the philosophy of STREETWISE Alive. And I want you to think about the words to this song. It's called Do What's Best for You. Because it's you who pay the dues, you should be careful what you choose. And know it's true, it's time to do what's best for do what's best for you. Life gives nothing to the one afraid to dare. And if you'll see the chance is always here. Chance for you to take a stand. Take your life into your hands and try to be what you really want to be. Some will tell you what they think you ought to do, but the final choice is always up to you. And it's you who pays the dues. So be careful what you choose and do. It's true, it's time to do what's best for you. You're more comfortable down there. Do what's best for you. What's up, man? Hello. Chances come and chances go. You get paid for what you know and what you do. When the chances come to you, prepare yourself to face a test and be ready to do your best. It's time to do this early. Do what's best for you. Come on. Take the time to find out how you want to live, and you'll find that you are worth the time you give. Take the time to know yourself, and you learn to deal with other people too. But you gotta be good to you. If you wanna win, it's got what's best for you. You can have the world, girl. Do what's best for you. Take a stand, young man, and do what's best for you. Gotta learn to do what's best for what we're going to talk about today is a very serious problem that we're having with gangs and with drugs. I want to give you some facts about drugs. First, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, it's got some Detroiters here, huh? And I got into the drug world when I was 14 years old. I got offered a job unloading a tractor-trailer truck that had pounds of cocaine and bales of marijuana on it, and I got excited about that life, and it ended up getting me in a whole lot of trouble. I progressed from that, from being a drug runner, smuggling drugs from Detroit to Florida, Florida to California, and throughout the country. And at the height of my involvement, I was considered a regional director over 5 states for a very large American drug cartel. I also ended up doing 6 years and 8 months in the Nevada prison system. I am now presently on parole because I got a 20-year sentence, and I'll be on parole until the year 1997. Now let me explain to you what parole means. Parole means if I make a mistake out here, I don't go to the county jail, I don't go in front of a judge, I don't get to get a lawyer. It means that if I make a mistake, I go directly back to the Indian Springs yard. So what I'm telling you today is some serious business. You have a choice to make. A choice about drugs. Let's get into that for a minute. I want to let you know this. There are no more pure drugs on the street. A lot of people will tell you about heroin, and they'll tell you about cocaine, and you all know about crack. I want to tell you about something that happened to me in 1976. Because a lot of times, people say, well, I don't use heroin, I don't use cocaine, I wouldn't smoke no crack, but, I might smoke a little marijuana. All of it's bad. In 1976, I decided that I wanted to branch out from running my cocaine business into running some marijuana. So I put the word out that I was looking for a connection. I got invited down to Miami, Florida for a meeting. At that meeting, they said they flew me down and picked me up in a limo, and we rode around Miami for a little while. And they said, we heard you're looking for a marijuana connection. We want to be your connection, and we want to show you something. As we were riding around, we drove into an industrial area where they had a lot of factories. They closed the curtains on the car so that I couldn't see out. All of a sudden, the car came to a stop. I heard a big door slam. They opened the door to the limo. I stepped out, and I was in a marijuana supermarket. It was a warehouse about as big as this school building. They had bales of marijuana lined up like the vegetables in your grocery store. Yeah, they had them all labeled. Acapulco Gold, Panama Red, Colombian Brown, Jamaican, Mexican, Gungeon. They had guys standing around that were 6 feet tall with M1 rifles, and they had dogs sitting there. And they were sitting at attention, highly trained. I said, man, why y'all showing me all of this? They said, because we want to be your connection, and we don't want you to look any further. And we want to let you know that we can supply anything that you want. I said, well, that's obvious. They said, well, okay, what do you want? I said, well, I came down here for a meeting. I didn't come for a buy. I said, but, since I'm here, I said, I'll take 100 pounds of that Acapulco Gold over there. They said, well, what you plan on doing with it? I said, I'm going to sell it. What you think I'm going to do? I ain't going to smoke no 100 pounds of gold, So they said, well, if you're going to sell it, you're doing it wrong. I said, well, what do you mean wrong? They went over to a pile of the Mexican and they rolled me up a joint and they brought it back. They said, hit this. I hit it, tasted like dirt. I said, man, can't nobody sell this. They said, no, let me tell you how you do it. They say, since you're only buying 100 pounds, we're going to sell you 50 pounds of the gold. That's going to cost you $200 a pound. They say, we'll sell you 50 pounds of the Mexican. That's going to cost you $50 a pound. They say, now the money that you save on the Mexican, you buy something for your personal self and for your friends and stuff like that. They say, well, what you do is you take the 50 pounds of gold and you take the 50 pounds of Mexican and you mix it together. Then he reached in his pocket and he came out with a business card. On that card was a name, a phone number, and under the name was the word chemist. He said, you take it to my man, he'll fix it up for you. Hey, I'm in the drug business. I took it to the guy, he dumped the weed in a net, lifted it up on a crane, had a big vat of liquid. Started dumping the weed in it. I said, man, what you doing to my marijuana? He said, I'm treating it. I said, treating it with what? He said, PCP. Now, do you know what PCP is? Sometimes called angel dust, sometimes called sherm. What PCP really is, it's an elephant tranquilizer. You ever watch Wild Kingdom and they get a lion or a tiger in the cage and they got to go in and do some dental work? They take one of them guns and they shoot him in the behind and he stumble and fall over. That's PCP. When he lifted it up, they had blowers and fans to blow it dry and kept on dunking it. Just enough so you can't taste it. Just enough so you can't smell it. But when you hit it, you sure felt it. Oh, yeah. I went right back to Detroit, and I announced to the community, I said, yeah, man, I was down in Florida, and I met this dude from Mongolia. He had some new dope called Mongolian Jungle Rock. Yeah, and I sold it for $80 an ounce. Now, that was 1976. If they were treating the marijuana back then, imagine what they're doing now. So the next time somebody walks up to you with a joint of marijuana and they say, come on, man, let's hit this, let's smoke this. We know it's marijuana, it's cool. You think about what you just heard. Because I don't care if they tell you, man, we grew this ourselves, man. You know, we know it's pure. You ask them, where'd you get the seeds? Because if they planted treated seeds, you're smoking treated weed. Now, when I got out of prison, I published this book. The name of this book is called Drugs in America, a textbook of the street. I wrote this book because Nancy Reagan said, just say no. And I knew right then that wasn't going to work. Because you got to tell people why. And that's what I'm trying to tell you now is why. They got a new drug for you every year. The drug business last year did $600 billion in business. It takes 1,000 millions to come up with $1 billion. We're talking about $600 billion. These people need you to support their business. They need you to get out on the corner and sell their drugs. See, every year when you graduate from high school and when you graduate from college, the big corporations, they come to the school and they say, we want to know who graduated first and second in the class. We'd like to offer them some perks and bring them into our company so that they can strive and grow. You know, we want to know who the best of the best. Well, the drug people are in business too. But they can't walk up to the campus and say, hi, I'm from Cocaine International and we'd like to know, you know. They can't do it like that. So they have to find their customers from the prisons, from the streets, and from you. So you got to look out for yourself. Now, you know crack is not cocaine. If it took $100 gram, how many of you heard about freebasing before? Yeah. If you took $100 gram and cooked it down to a rock that ended up being this big and you smoked it, ain't no way in the world you can make a profit by selling that rock for $5, $10, or $20. So they took cocaine and they mixed it with 5 other drugs. And I'm going to tell you what they are. They mixed it with procaine, lidocaine, a drug called procyclidine. How many of you ever heard of procyclidine? All of you have heard of procyclidine? Yes, you have. It's called Raid, Black Flag. Yeah, you've heard of it. The bug spray. They took another drug, it's 10% cocaine. They use a coagulant to make it rock back up. But do you know what the main ingredient in crack is? It's vitamin B12. Yeah. The same vitamins you can pick up off the store shelf. Easy to prove. Next time you go to your doctor, ask your doctor, say, if I was depressed, if I was really feeling bad, what would you give me? And among the things he might tell you, he will tell you, I would give you a shot of vitamin B12 because it's a natural speed. It'll lift you up. And it's all right if the doc gives it to you that way, but when you smoke it and you mix it with them other chemicals, you got a dangerous thing going on. They got a new drug out now called ice. How many of you heard of ice? Yeah. Ice is a smokable form of methamphetamine. What ice does, crack will get you high 3 to 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Ice, if you smoke that, and if I set a rock of ice here and a rock of crack here, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But if you smoke some ice, you're going to stay high 10 to 15 hours. Oh yeah. And not only are you going to stay high, you're going to crave all the way through the high. You're going to want some more. How many of y'all like Tone Loc's jam, Funky Cold Medina? Yeah, I don't like that song. You know why? Because they set you up. In that song it says, it's all right to walk up to a girl and say, oh, you don't want to be with me? Here, let me sprinkle some of this in your drink. See, he called it Funky Cold Medina. The real name for it is ice. Don't you know that they can walk up with that rock and sprinkle it in your drink? See, that's why we're getting ready to come out with a Streetwise handbook to tell you how to party safely. You should take, when you go to a party, put a rubber band around your wrist. And when you get your drink, take a napkin, put it over the top of the drink, and roll the rubber band down around the napkin. And then go dance and keep your eye on your drink. Because you don't want nobody slipping you nothing. Now, there are no pure drugs on the street. Forget that. Now I want to deal with another myth. Drug sellers. Guys will walk up to you and girls will walk up to you and they say, man, you can make big money dealing drugs. You know, you can make $300, $400 a night, $500 a night. You can make $5,000 a week. Get you a crack house going, you can make $10,000 a week. Let me tell you the real about that situation. We who are in the drug business had a name for guys who wanted to sell drugs on that level. And this is what we call them. Yeah, we call them suckers. Now, we're not here to call names, because when you're dealing in millions and billions of dollars, it's serious business. And I would hear these guys, they would be saying, oh, this sucker this, oh, this sucker that. We got a sucker in Detroit, we got a sucker in New York. I say, man, these guys out here putting their life on the line to sell your drugs. Why are you calling them suckers? They say, if you want to know what it means, go get the dictionary. So I did, and I looked it up. Webster gives 3 definitions for the word sucker. The first definition is someone who is easily cheated or deceived. And that's what we usually think about the word sucker. The second definition says a person who lives by extortion